mention your name, and so since we got your name out there, we gonna push it, cause you are a real homegirl from this motherfucking hood.
Okay, you want to do it Sunday?
Yeah, we can do it next Sunday.
I got all day Sunday.
Today? Cause you did write a book, and we gonna talk about that too.
Okay, cool.
All right, dog. So I'll see you next Sunday about 9:30.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Okay, love you.
Love you too.
Later.
All right. And she one of the hardest girls in this hood from way back. Man, I seen her knock her own boyfriend out. Cause he was talking, she was talking to me. He asked Pink, who is that you talking to? Pink knocked the nigga out and said, nigga, that's my big homie. Shut up. Check this out, man. I got one of the coolest homegirls around up here with us this morning. This is her book right here. This is her book right here. I'm gonna bring it as close as I can so you guys can see it. Yeah, this is her book right here, man. You know, I'm telling everybody they need to get to this book. There's some real knowledge up in here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, real knowledge up in this book. You know what I'm saying? She got some of her knowledge from me, and she got most of her knowledge for herself, because she's been around here from day one. And when we gonna start interviewing some of the females, we're not going to interview no hooks and just anybody because they say they're 6'0" and all that. Nah, we're not doing it like that. Who been around from day one, and then we're gonna represent her. This book here, and she better sign my book too. All right, I'm through.
All right, let's get started. Can you just tell the world who you are and where were you born and raised?
My name is Ellisa Burks McKnight. My maiden name is Burks. I grew up right on 3rd Ave in Slauson, in between 59th and Slauson. We moved there in 1966. I was 3 years old when I moved on 3rd Avenue.
Okay, can you just tell us some of the schools you went to?
I went to 59th Street School, and I went to Horseman, and then in high school that's when my banging started, so I was going to a lot of different schools. I started off at Palisades, and I jacked some people at Palisades and they kicked me out. And then I went to, I believe it was Westchester High. And I was running track for Westchester. But then I started getting into relationships too. And the relationship was more important in school, so I didn't go to Westchester anymore. And then my mom finally let me go to Crenshaw. She wasn't letting me go to Crenshaw High. Finally, she let me go to Crenshaw High. And it all went bad. She had the right mind not to send me to Crenshaw, but I ended up there, and back and forth I kept getting arrested, and you know, I ended up having to go out of state to high school. They kicked me out of all the California high schools. I ended up having to move with my uncle in Missouri. And I was going to school there. And at the time, I think I was like 16 going on 17. And I ended up coming back to California because I found out I was carrying a child. And that was the end of my schooling, period, as high school.
Okay. That's really a thing where they can kick a female out of Out of every school in the state?
Yes.
That's legal after they could do that to you?
They did that to me. They told my mom that I cannot go because I went to Birmingham. Let me back up. I kept beating people up. I kept doing stuff at these schools.
Right.
Birmingham High, it was some white girls trying to do some racist stuff, and I beat a white girl up. They kicked me out of there. Westchester, like I say, it was just boy stuff. I just wanted to be with Magic. That's when me and Magic was really like getting into our relationship, so I left school. But yeah, they kicked me out of California high schools.
I want to go back to your 59th Street elementary school days. Was it already a gang presence in elementary school, or was it just children being children?
In elementary school, yeah, we was just children being children. Poochie and I were the same age. I'm a little bit older than him, but I went to school before him, and he was a grade behind me, and so I would always get in trouble because I wanted to be in the same grade he was in, so they put me back. Right? So I ended up being in the same grade as Poochie, and it was intentional.
Okay. Now, for the people that don't know, Poochie is the well-known and well-loved and respected Little Monk.
Yeah, his name changed to Little Monk when we transitioned from the Rollin Avenues to the Rollin 60s. Poochie, myself, J-Bone, T-Bone, C-Dog, it was a few others that transitioned from the youth. We had a like a drill team. We did talent shows, and we were called the Rollin Avenues. My mom was a director at the Watts Team Post, and when she left there, she just started her own little team post here in our neighborhood. And we had a little vote one day at my sister Sandra's house, like, what are we going to be called? I said Kid Power. Poochie said Rollin Avenues, and everybody jumped on it. So we were named the Rollin Avenues. And that was in 72. Around 74, we had went to a talent show over in Watts. My mom said, I got y'all at Watts, we could go and we're gonna do a talent show over there. That never happened. What happened was they found out that the Rollin Avenues lived in the 60 hood. We weren't Rollin 60s at that time. We were just Rollin Avenues, a youth club, doing parades, doing talent shows, doing car washes to raise money, going to Magic Mountain, going to the Pike, which is out in Long Beach. That's the stuff that the Rollin Avenues did. And we went to this talent show that day, and when the bus pulled up to drop us off to do the show, my mom felt something. She said, pull off, pull off, pull off. So my nephew that was the driver, he just pulled off. Rocks, bottles, all kinds of stuff eggs was being thrown at the bus. They were basically affiliating us with the 60s. So that was the last show we did. My mom said, I can't take you guys anywhere because Poochie was going across the track, kind of hanging out with the 60s. And we were starting to get known as being affiliated with them. So the Rollin Avenues was no more. My uncle and Cappuccino told me this story. Cappuccino, Lupe, and a couple of others was having a crap game one day. My drunk Uncle Paul came asking for a quarter. He's like, give me a quarter. Can I have a quarter? They were like, no, Paul, wait a minute. We ain't, we gambling. Wait till the game's over. And my uncle, drunk, mixed the Rollin with the 60s, and that's how we became the Rollin 60s. He said, who y'all think y'all is, the Rollin 60s? Everybody looked at each other and said, yeah, that's who the fuck we are now. There was no more Rollin Avenues, so they took this Rollin and put it on the 60s. That's around 75, 76's. That's when that happened.
So you're basically telling me that the crew and the clique that you ran with is basically responsible. That's where the Rollin come from.
I brought the Rollin.
That's big. That's big right there. Okay. Just talk about 59th when I want to go to Horseman. I read in your book, you said you were classmates with Monster Kody.
Yeah.
Was he already known as Monster Kody back then, or was he still just Kody Scott?
Kody Scott.
Just a little boy.
Yeah.
Being a little boy.
Yeah, we would get in trouble in Mr. Palta's class. That was our history class because we were both class clowns.
Right.
Kody and myself and Remrick, one of our other friends, we would crack jokes and throw erasers, go steal the eraser and throw it at the chalkboard so it can make a big blast on a board. That's the kind of stuff Kody would do. He would make us laugh and, like, you know, make a big noise in the class where everybody would, like, look around and see who did it. Kody was a jokester. He was really, like, keep everybody laughing all the time. And then I joined in with him.
Now, talking about Monster Kody, so I'm interviewing you. I have to ask you about your video that basically went viral, the interview you did with Alex Alonzo on Street TV. It was basically about an arm chopping incident with Monster Kody.
Thank you for that question.
So can you just tell us about that, whatever on your heart you want to get off about it?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. Yes. At the time those deaths were happening, I was so overwhelmed. I think I was just like, maybe like 16 or 15 or 16. Maybe 17. It was just overwhelming for me because I know we was in high school, but that was my truth when I said, because one day I was in Palmdale looking at TV. Kody Scott came on the TV talking about he took this person's arm. When those deaths were happening with J Blade, Kid, and Ken Bone, I thought the arm that Kody Scott was talking about was J Blake's arm because J Blake got cut up, but it wasn't by him. It was by his girlfriend and his girl's mom, right? And so I got my realities mixed up from the past, and I did a lot of drugs. I really did. Like, you know, I'm a recovering addict, and I used the drugs to numb that stuff. That was the reason I was using the drugs, to forget some things. And I did forget that. So I would like to clean that up and say, J Blake, that wasn't the arm Kody Scott had. That wasn't it.
I believe you because I saw a Monster Kody interview he did with Kev Mac videos. And he kind of like backpedaled a little bit on it himself, and it was his story, so I believe in him on that. And I want to stay back, back in the 70s. I want to ask you about you and your homegirls, because the 6 less and the 60 girls do not get, in my opinion, enough credit or, just acknowledgement for being around and doing what y'all did. So, in your book, you speak about a lot of your homegirls, and I just want to ask you about some, and their names ring bells in this area. One of them is Eddie Girl. If you talk to any G from around here, you hear Eddie Girl this, Eddie Girl that, Eddie Girl this, Eddie Girl that. So, what was it about Eddie Girl that made her name ring bells back then?
Well, Eddie Girl was, I think, 5 years old when I met her, and I think I was 8. So I'm older than all of them.
So these are your little homegirls.
These are my little babies. These are my babies. These are my sisters. I don't call them my homegirls. I call them my sisters. So Eddie Girl, I had to cross her across Slauson because she lived on this side of Slauson. So I had to actually literally hold her hand so she wouldn't get hit by a car coming to my house crossing Slauson. I literally held her hand. I literally took on her problems as my problems, and dare not touch her, dare not, because there was a lot of times she came to me, oh, Lisa, this girl did this girl did that, and what I did for her, I said, I'll tell you what, you go back up there, you beat that bitch ass, and if I hear that she beat your ass, I'm beating your ass. She went back up there, beat the girl's ass, and came back. We went to Thrifties and got us an ice cream.
That's how the 6 lessons was doing it back then.
Yeah.
I have one more homegirl to ask you about. And that's, she goes by the name Six. And OG Bubble from 60s, he told me out his own home, I'm gonna quote him. He said, Sis was like a lady Dawn in the 60s back then. She basically raised OG Kid Rock and OG Petey Way.
She
You
did.
agree with that? Was Sis somebody that
She raised me too. She still is. I just talked to her. She's still raising me. Sis was, I met her when I was, I think 12, maybe 11 or 12. And I would babysit for her. She would always live out of the hood. So I'd have to go to her house out in Anaheim. It's always, you know, out in Cerritos or, you know, somewhere in good neighborhoods that, yeah, she was a Don, and I would be at home watching her children for her. Her daughter, I changed her diapers, raised her, and then her first son, I babysat him as well. And I would go to Sis, like when I got in trouble, like I did this, what do I do? And she would tell me like what I needed to do. I remember, let me tell you this story. I robbed Michael Conception. I didn't mean to, but I was on drugs. But I robbed Michael Conception. I used his drugs. He gave me, I used his drugs, and I had to pay him back. And I called Sis. I'm like, Sis, I robbed Mike. It's like he's gonna get me. Like she says, okay, I'm gonna fix it. They had already robbed me back, but she got my stuff back, right? This is the kind of stuff that she helped me with. But yeah, I did. I robbed him. Sorry about that, but yeah, he got me. But I learned a lesson. She taught me a lesson. Like when you in this game, you gotta keep it loyal. You know, that's what she taught me. Keep it loyal. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, especially when they know where you live. You feel me? That's what I learned.
Okay. Stay on your homegirls. What was the fashion back then for the 6 less in the 1970s?
Khakis
Just like
and Kroger sacks.
Just like the boys.
Khakis and Kroger sacks. All them motherfucking Jordache jeans and all that shit. We didn't do that shit. We wore khakis and Kroger sacks. Motherfucking Chuck Taylors and shit.
Okay, now, who out of you and your homegirls, and you could throw in a West Side Crip West too in this, who was some of the best fighters? It's like, you don't want to mess with her. You a male or female, she'll get you.
Me and Crazy T, for real, we was some wild ass characters. When people seen us coming, they would run. Here come Peeny, Crazy T, get the fuck. Them bitches, they gonna do something like, so, yeah. Me and Crazy T was really, because see, my other homegirls was kind of mellow. They weren't like starting shit. We weren't shit starters, we just was the finishers.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
We didn't start the shit, we just finished it. Because our presence, our aura would just pop out in any group that we're in. We go to a party, oh, there go P, there go the 6 less. And I used to pop lock and robot. And as soon as they see me coming, they wanted to hit me up and battle me and shit, you know. And sometimes it would turn into a battle. Sometimes I have to knock one of them out. Sometimes it goes bad. So, yeah.
Okay. what blocks did you and the Six Vets hang out on back then in the 1970s in this neighborhood?
We hung out on 3rd Ave, right across the street here. 59th Street School, 10th Ave, 6th Ave, 7th Ave, motherfucking, yeah, Bryanhurst, the Overhills. I'm gonna tell you about the Overhills in a minute. They came later. We used to hang out on Victoria in the slums. We called this place the slums. It's up there by 71st and Florence, and we used to hang out in there a lot, and a lot of things happened. But Big Cat is the godfather of the Overhills, in my opinion, because his auntie Coco lived across the street from me on 3rd Avenue. Big Cat and his younger brothers would come over there. Now, we was 5 and 6 years old. You know what I'm saying? So, Big Cat was already in the hood before the Overhills even came anything, right? So, but I believe that he would be the godfather of that sector for me.
I'm glad you spoke about the Overhills because they also, you know, they get credit for, you know, getting money and buying out some nice houses. But Big Cat was somebody that was dominant, in your opinion, from out of the Overhills back then?
He is the godfather of the Overhills. He made that shit. He started that shit.
Okay. Now I'm gonna go just 1981 right quick. In your book, you said you were Lady Keystone.
Okay,
That
so
time?
yeah, Keystone, rest in peace. See, a lot of people don't know Keystone, rest in peace. He was from 5 Trey. Before he was from 60.
We speaking about Green Eye Keystone.
I'm talking about Keith Cordell Thomas.
Okay. And
Rest in peace.
That's the one you were up under.
That's the Lady Keystone I'm talking about.
Okay.
There was a time in our history that he and I were a couple. We used to go to Magic Mountain. I mean, we was together that day. We got kicked out of Magic Mountain. Local Coop got us kicked out of Magic Mountain with shenanigans. And yeah, that's when I was Lady Keystone. But let me tell you what happened with that relationship. We went 2 different ways. He sold drugs and I was smoking drugs. Those two don't mix, right? He was trying to have money and a different type of girl, right? I was trying to numb myself from all the shit. My homeboys going to jail, my homeboys getting murdered, my homeboys not being able to balance their lives, and you know, it was a lot of things going on. And I'm trying to numb all of that stuff, but I did it through drugs.